Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ and Friends. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and my guest today is Nicole Fogleman, and she's going to be talking about how you can eat your way to health through fermented foods. Please welcome her to the show. This is her first time, so welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Nice. Well, how do you eat your way to health through fermented foods? But before you answer that, maybe you can tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, because this is our first time meeting in person.
Yes, I would love to. I'd love to share a little bit about myself. So, I'm Nicole Fogleman, and by profession, I am a nurse anesthetist. And so, I'm the
Ooh.
person that puts you to sleep when you have surgery. And so, I work actually at the Veterans Hospital here in Richmond, Virginia, and that's where I am located. And I've been doing this about 25 years. And so, obviously, acute pain is something I deal with on a daily basis. And I became very passionate about chronic pain because my mom suffered with severe chronic pain. She had a debilitating disease called arachnoiditis. And through a lot of research and a lot of reading and a lot of science-based research, I learned that, food is medicine. And so I started a support group. And I think it was 2010 called Hope for Pain. And I would lead like little support groups at my church and we'd talk about food and, being plant-based and trying to live a healthier life. And then COVID happened and I'm friends with Sid Notter, which I know she's one of the bundle ladies. And through her, I became a support group leader at Plant-Based Support. And so I lead a support group there called Foods That Fight Pain. And so every month we talk about chronic pain and about inflammation. And then through that, over the last couple of years, I've become really interested in fermented foods because for the first time, I feel like we really have some scientific data showing us that, that fermented foods and a high fiber diet can really help inflammation.
Nice.
And that's my spiel. Yes.
And so, as a nurse anesthetist, it's such a hard word to say. You're dealing with
Yes.
people that are asleep, so you probably don't have much of a chance to talk to them about the benefits of a plant-based diet.
That is very true. But I do have a few patients that I see kind of, and we work a little bit with plant-based health and gut panel profiles and things like that. So kind of like a side little thing that I do just to kind of help friends and family.
And when did you first adopt a plant-based diet? How many years has it been for you?
Yeah, it's been about 10 years. My husband and I are both plant-based. And it kind of all started when my daughter was 6 years old. She had some ADHD. And instead of turning the Ritalin, I turned to the science and started reading, going, oh my gosh, you can really, if you change someone's diet, you can make, really a change in their health. And that's where we just kind of went down that rabbit hole and we started, teaching ourselves. Since my husband has a science background and, I being a healthcare professional, it was just kind of an easy transition. And now, we are hardcore into it. So
Nice. So, talk about what you have in the bundle and maybe what else you like in the bundle that is not your offering.
yeah. So let me talk first. I was going to tell you what some of my favorite things in the bundle because I wanted to put a plug for plant-based support, and which is something that I'm involved in. And they're actually in the bundle, and they're offering a 14-day, or I guess it's a 7-day starter kit, and that is in the bundle. And I think four different contributors are in the bundle. Sid Notter, and I know you had her on your show the other day and she's did like a sweet relief cooking demo. And one thing I love this year is so many of the videos. And so she has a video, and Dr. Nikki Davis, she's one of our board members at Plant Based Support. She's a lifestyle medicine doctor, and she has some videos. Karen Ramsey, and she is a raw food person and she has a cookbook, and Richard Hubbard and he has a bunch of coaching videos and actually has some exercise demos. So I'm really excited to be part of, obviously this bundle, but just that we have so many contributors from plant-based support because I that's very near to my heart. And then after I'm done with you tonight, I get to be with our group that meets once a month. So, and then my personal favorite in the bundle has been Chef Julia Dunaway, her sourdough. And I just think it's an amazing gift that she's given us. This just alone that her cooking demonstration was like an hour and a half. and or her making sourdough. And so that's just amazing. And then leading into that is sourdough is actually a fermented food. And so in my bundle contribution, I kind of talk about the science behind fermented foods and how those work in some of the newest like literature that's out there. Because over the last few years, or really over the last 10 years, people with chronic pain, all they really had to turn to was opioids. And so now there's a lot of research being done, especially after COVID, linking inflammation and with chronic pain. And now we have these amazing new studies that have come out. The Gut Health Project that started in 2018, and then there's been some subsets from that study. And we now have the Stanford study, which compares fermented foods and a high fiber diet. And so those studies are shown just dramatically that when you include fermented foods in your diet, and it doesn't have to be a lot, I'm talking about an ounce a day, that can really decrease your the inflammation in your body, and hopefully, eventually decrease some of the pain that that people are going through and suffering through. And so I made three, I guess there's four different videos. I think one video is kind of like around the world, all the things I've been fermenting. I have a pickling, or no, I'm sorry, a fermented vegetables, which you can do any kind of crispy vegetable. And I did a pickling of a cucumbers. And then I did a ginger bug. And actually, I love when I talk, I like I like to show things. And so I have my ginger bug, which is super, super easy to do if you're just beginning fermenting. Basically, it's just ginger and sugar and water. And it's great so that you can make like a probiotic soda with some like healthy juice and just include that. And it makes like a little tangy soda taste. And then the other thing, I love our garden. So we create a garden every year and usually have a big garden. And so I have watermelon rind. I did a demonstration on that, but that's kind of unique. Taking your watermelon and using every bit of it and using the rinds and fermenting those. And then I also did the last one is not actually a fermentation, it's a pickling, which is similar, but you use vinegar. And I was in St. Kitts last year and I was in the rainforest and we were at this beautiful like farm to table kind of event, and they had a pickling turmeric recipe. So I decided to grow my own turmeric, and then I just like really researched it and tried to find the exact taste that that lady had created. And so that recipe is there. So
So are you going to show any techniques on how to do it?
I am going to, I was afraid I was going to be too nervous to cut and do those kind of things. So what I would like to do instead is kind of tell you some basic things that you can find in your grocery store and also the tools. Because if you go in the book itself and the ebook that I created, it talks a lot about supplies that you need and in the first couple of pages. So if that's okay, if I can talk about those, I'd love to do
Absolutely,
that.
please.
Yes. Okay.
Sure.
That'll be more fun too than
Okay.
watching Nicole cut up cucumbers. So let me just pull up and make sure
Did you need
okay.
to share screen at all? I can.
Oh, no, no, no.
Okay.
Just so I have it here so I don't forget anything. So first, let me talk about a little bit about some of the things that you can buy in your grocery store, because it's obviously with probiotics and fermented foods, it's a hot topic. And so you have to be really careful when you're purchasing items in the grocery store. You want to make sure they're fresh fermentations. And so just to kind of show you, just one of the things I've been working with, this is not in the bundle videos, but I've been making my own water kefir. And so this is something that you can buy actually in my health food store. This is where I bought here. I have water kefir, homemade water kefir. I made this for about a couple of years and it's really fun to make. And there's actually a local grocery store or a local company that makes water kefir. And this is supposed to be, doesn't, remove the fermentation goodness, the cultures. And so this one, you just look for your local companies and see what they are making. But what you do, I was going to show you a little picture here or in person. This is what a water keeper granule. And you hear people talking about a milk keeper, and this is actually water keeper. And this comes from a little plant. It's a plant like a cactus. And I think the cactus is like in Mexico. I'm not sure of the name because it's kind of a weird name, not familiar with. But when you first get your water keepers, you can either get ones that have already been activated or not activated. These have not been activated, and I'm actually started activating them today. As you can kind of see, they're changing shape and they're going to become like granules. And so then you'll start the whole fermentation process, and it gives you instructions. I know I have bought also these online in Yemoos, YEMOOS.com, and they're great. You get the water granules that have already been activated from them. This is like I said, this is the one from our health food store. And so once you start making these, you can make again more like sodas and more things to drink. And it's not that saltiness. This is more the bacteria on the water granules, they're eating the sugar. You're feeding it sugar, but they're eating the sugar. So it's not like you're drinking a big site sugar-based drink. That's one thing. Another thing I've been doing the last couple of weeks is making my own yogurt. And obviously you can buy plant-based yogurt in your grocery stores, but you need to be careful about how much sugar. And like I found this one today, I was doing some shopping. This is from raw coconut yogurt, and it has very little sugar. I think it's 2 grams of sugar added. So that's a great way to get probiotics is our plant-based yogurts. Tempeh. One of the things I did, I had a live the other day with Dr. Carrie Heineman. She has a great tempeh bacon recipe, and I made that. And so tempeh is a great fermented food. And then our sourdough, if you are getting the bundle, you have to make Chef Julia Dunaway's, her amazing sourdough. This is actually a spelt starter that I began. And I just began it like a week ago. And I've been feeding it and feeding it every day. And I've been following exactly Chef Julia Dunaway's instructions because she has amazing step-by-step instructions on how to feed your culture. And so my daughter is gluten-free. So my goal is to start making some spelt bread. So what else? Kombucha, that's another one. You have to be careful. There's a lot of kombucha out there. So look for someone that's making it locally. And this is a company, it's called the Blue Ridge. We have the Blue Ridge Mountains here in Virginia. And this is the Blue Ridge kombucha that they make. And it's a really great product they make. And it's supposed to be really good. What else? And so any kind of vegetable you can ferment. And so I've got some cucumbers here, and in my instructions in the ebook, I talk about cucumbers. And so you want to make sure you're using either pickling cucumbers or like the little cucumbers that are real hard, or these are the ones like that are grown in Canada. You can see they're kind of hard and smaller. And so you want to choose like not the kind of that usually I grow in my garden. So not the kind that are not the non-pickling. So make sure you use those. And you are using salt when you're pickling vegetables. And so I know there's a lot of controversy about salt and whether you're getting a large salt intake when you're fermenting vegetables. But I do want to say when they looked at the science and when they looked at the Stanford study, was a study that was done with people that were eating like 6 servings a day of fermented foods, and they were eating a high fiber diet. So it was either one of the two groups. And so the people with the 6 servings a day of the fermented foods, they actually had the best benefit of like improving their gut microbiome. And they actually analyzed the foods, like the fermented foods and the high fiber foods. And then when they actually found it like a microscopic level and they looked at the milligrams of sodium, it was actually about the same. And like I said, I know there's a little bit of controversy out there. And a lot of times when you look at studies and it goes back to like Asian foods and like specifically people like in South Korea, they eat a lot of kimchi. And kimchi is great for you. But in South Korea, I mean, they eat a lot of kimchi. They even have refrigerators just for their kimchi. So people, that are eating a lot of salt-based like fermented vegetables, they have connected that with some stomach cancer. And so just be careful. I'm talking about one serving a day. And when I talk about servings, I usually look at my palm and like right here on your part of your hand is about a 1 ounce serving, and that's all you need. So I
Wow.
feel like I'm going on.
Yeah, no, but it's delicious. I mean, they're delicious anyway. I like putting sauerkraut on my plant burgers. That's one of my
Yes.
favorite ways to use it.
Yeah, I love sauerkraut too. And I usually, oh, and with sauerkraut, all you need is cabbage and salt, and you don't even need the water because you're going to make your own water as you're squishing the
And
the
when I work with the True
cabbage.
North Health Center, their Dr. Goldhammer is strictly salt-free. So we can still make fermented foods by using things like celery and celery juice, and they still ferment.
Oh, that's great because people have been asking me because I know I think Raw Chef Yen, she did a demonstration with us on plant-based support on her kimchi, and we're talking about miso, but still miso is a fermented product, but it's salt-based.
Right. It's just a True
And
North, none of it's allowed. And so they actually
yes.
make the pickles there and the kimchi. The chefs know how to do it. And I've done it. It's just a little bit labor intensive having to juice
Yeah.
the celery and things like that. One of the things I do because I'm allergic to soy and I can't eat beans and miso always seems to be chickpea or soy is when I want some fermented flavor in a recipe, I'll just use a couple of tablespoons of sauerkraut. Like I make this cheese sauce. Instead of putting the miso in, I'll use like squeezed out sauerkraut.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great
Yeah.
idea. And I
Yep.
love the idea because I've been searching for how to make fermented vegetables without the salt. So I'm going to look into that. I know we were talking about that the other day.
And I know somebody on my channel, well, if you keep talking, I will look because I know I had a guest on one time that did it. So you keep talking about
Okay.
this or that, and I will see if I can find that and tell you who it is.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the tools that you'll need if you're beginning to ferment for the first time. So let's see. Obviously, you just need a mason jar, and usually you use the wide mouth mason jars. Those are the easiest because you're going to want to pack them down and make sure that the vegetables are nice and packed down. Salt, and so you want to use non-iodized salt. And I just have sea salt. This is what I usually use. You can use kosher salt. You can buy like a pickling salt. I think they have seen that at like Food Lion. I'm not really sure about the pickling salt, but I know that that's something that you can use. You just don't want to have any of the iodine in it. You want to make sure, let me show you. You want to use filtered or dechlorinated water. So you don't want to use water from the tap. We make our own water at the Fogelman household, and so we always have some water available. And so you'll always be using water unless you're making kimchi or sauerkraut. Fermentation weights. Let me show you one of the things I have, and I love, and I have no affiliation with them, but this is the complete fermentation kit that I got from Mason Tops. I love this kit. I'm going to open it and show you. And the great thing also, besides the kit, I think the kit was about $50. But then you're on their subscription. You get every week, you get new recipes that are simple, fun recipes for fermenting. So let me show you what's in there, because these are some of the other things that you will need. So what they have, well, so when you're pickling vegetables or even sauerkraut or cabbage, you need to make sure that you're packing down those vegetables below the line of the water. So let me just, oh, so if you've got your vegetables in and you've got your water line, so you've got to pack them completely down. And then after you've got your vegetables and your water, you're going to use a weight. And so the nice thing about this kit is they have these beautiful glass weights. And you can use all kinds of things. I mean, you can use like even a clean rock if you want to. And I know I've seen people that use like plastic bags or you can fill them with water, but these are just so easy. So you've got your vegetable in there and you want to make sure it's completely weighed down and completely immersed under the water. And so that's what those are used for. And then when you're fermenting, these come with these great little tops. And these tops have like a little hole. I don't know if you can see the little hole, and that allows the oxygen to go through and helps the fermentation process. And then it just kind of fits on there. So if you can always improvise. And sometimes I like with my sourdough, I'll use a coffee filter instead with rubber band, and that's fine. But these little gadgets are just really fun to have and nice to have. Um, what
Right. I
else?
got a question. Just this isn't about fermenting foods, but somebody
Sure.
asking if you are from Canada. Nicole, is Nicole Canadian? And if so, where does she live?
Oh, no, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I'm
Okay,
actually from the deep South, actually, originally from Alabama. So,
that's
uh, yes. And let's see, some other things that you can use. I was taught that when I'm fermenting to use a wooden spoon. So, like when you're dipping things out of your ferment, I've got some cucumbers here. So, I usually always use a wooden spoon. So, they say the metal can kind of interfere with your fermentation process. And like these are little pickles that I made before, really good. I got some dill and garlic in there. Um, and so salt is the, one thing that you can use. And you can also do some sweet ferments too. So, and that would be, you would use sugar. So with my ginger bug, this has sugar. And then with my water keeper, it uses sugar too. But I've just got like a couple of tablespoons of ginger that I grated in there and some sugar water and it just starts fermenting on its own and it's just so good and so
wow, that's
healthy.
cool. Yeah, that looks like a fun little kit you got.
Yeah, I do love the kid. Oh.
That is really cool. Well, I found that episode. It was with Jung Soo, salt-free kimchi. I already emailed you, so you will have a
Oh,
recipe.
okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. If that's something you're interested in. And if
Yeah,
anybody's
definitely.
interested in the bundle, why not get it now and get it from Nicole? All you got to do is click the link. Operators are standing by. You get over $4,638 worth of content, 70 unique pieces of courses, ebooks, videos, so many videos, including the entire Plant Powered Conference from Las Vegas last year, where Dr. Joel Furman sings, dances, and tell jokes. And only for $49. So there's a question from Daria, why no iodized salt?
Why no iodized salt? I think it does interfere with the fermentation process if you put the iodine in it. So I can tell you like in the chemistry of it how it interferes, but I know I did read that it will interfere in it and your items will not ferment. It will not work.
Hmm,
Uh,
I
so
see.
one last thing I wanted to mention was a scale that if you really get into fermenting, to get a good scale. And in the bundle and the demonstration, I use a scale. And when I did the cucumbers, and I also teach you, either way to use a scale or not use a scale. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they're not that
Yeah.
expensive, the little food scales. So if I got one for $14 at Bed Bath and Beyond when it was there.
Yes. Yeah. It's great. I love it using it. And when I weigh my sourdough starter stuff, so it's nice and convenient.
Nice. What kind of things do you eat in a day and feed your family?
Well, it's just my husband and I most of the time. And I usually eat oats in the morning with all the special, fancy things like hemp and flaxseed and chia seeds. And I've been making the yogurt recently. So instead of soy milk, I've been adding the yogurt. I'll make it in an Instapot overnight and then it's ready. And then I add that to my oats. And for lunch, I usually eat leftovers. So whatever we had, like I love beans. I'm so sorry that you can't eat beans. That's
That's
just
okay. It'd be
awful.
worse if I couldn't eat sweet potatoes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would trade.
Yeah.
But I usually make a pot of beans every week, and then a lot of times I'll just eat leftover beans at work and just heat them up. And luckily my husband's plant-based, and just whatever I create for the evening. Tonight we had pizza, and so I have our local health food store has an amazing crust that I bought from them, and I just put tomatoes and peppers and onions and just some sauce, and that's it.
Yum. So you didn't use
Yeah.
the one in Chef Julia Dunaway's bundle offering then?
No, but I thought about it. If I had time, I definitely would have. Because and actually I want to do it with spelt too for my daughter. So
Nice. Is she plant-based as well?
no, my daughter is not.
Oh no,
So
did you get to her too late?
no, I guess so. I don't know.
Oh, how
Yeah.
old is she?
She's 24.
Oh, well, there's still time.
Yes, still time.
Still time, yeah. But does she eat your food even if she's not plant-based? Like, does she eat the things you make?
Sometimes, like last night, I made from the bundle, I made the risotto and the Italian cookbook. I forgot the name of the
Oh,
contributor.
Plentiful Fare with an Italian Flair by Donna Spencer.
Yes. So I made the risotto, which was really good. And then I made like, and she loves olives, and so I made the olive appetizer too. So she did eat that, and she enjoyed that.
That's nice.
So,
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for the presentation, and thanks for being in the bundle.
yeah, no, thank you very much. I really appreciate your
My
time.
my pleasure. Thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ and Friends. Please come back tomorrow at 11 a.m. for none other than Chuck Carroll, who is also in a bundle in the bundle.